Okay, so we're in factoring now. The instructions say factor the trinomial. Now, what's a trinomial? It's basically a polynomial with three terms. This being one term, two terms, and three terms. So we have a trinomial. That's what a trinomial is. Now, if we want to factor, how we go about tackling these kinds of factoring problems, if it's a trinomial, is you always want to you're looking at the terms, what makes up these terms. Okay, so what are our factors of each term? Now, really, we want to focus. This is how I go about it. You want to look at your first term and your last term. This is how I start. So I say, what are my factors of 4? That is 4 and 1, and also 2 and 2. And those are my factors of 4. Now I look at 6. What are my factors of 6? 6 and 1, and 3 and 2. And so what do I do here is I look at these factors of the ends, factors of the first term and the last term, and I ask myself, what combination of these two terms will give me a negative 11? What do I mean by that? Basically, you're going to have 4 times 1, and you're going to have maybe a 6 times 1. Now, if I have that, keep in mind our values right here are going to be multiplied by whatever numbers we have here. So, for instance, it might be better for me just to show you. Now, keep in mind this is something called the trial and error method. So, it might work, it might not. But as you get better with it, you could tell and do it in your head. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you the way you do it right now until you get that good. And to be honest, it's not hard to get to that point, but it will take a little practice, but it's really not that bad. So, sorry, there shouldn't be a 6y, it should just be a y. So this is basically your front two, because it's the first term. So it's your first terms in your two parentheses. So 4y and y. And then these numbers, whatever it may be, are your end terms, just like it is in our trinomial. So if I had a 6 here and a 1 here, because that's what makes it up, would that combination give me a negative 11? So 4 times 6 would give me a 24, and then minus 1 or plus 1, that would give me either a 23 or a 25. From if we said 24 minus 1, give me 23. If I said 24 plus 1, that give me 25. Now, that's why I don't really have the signs here yet, because you're just kind of playing out the scenarios to see if it would give you an 11. So we noticed that it will not give me if I have that there. So I could change it and say, okay, what if I had my 6 here and my 1 here? The 4 times 1 would give me a 4, and then a 6. 6 minus 4 will give me a 2. 6 plus 4 will give me a 10. It's still not going to give me an 11. So that tells me that basically my 6 and 1 didn't work for the 4 and 1. So now I try the 3 and 2. I could have my 3 here, my 2 here, and 4 times 2 would give me 8, right? And then my 3, if I had 8 plus 3, because 3 times 1, or 1y, 3 times that would give me a 3y. This 4y times 2 would give me 8y. If I said 8y minus 3y, that would give me a 5y. That wouldn't give me what I want. What about that 8y plus a 3y, though? That'll actually give me 11. And that is the number I'm looking for. Now, just to think, so we know we got our combination right. We know it was these two combinations that would let us factor this trinomial. Now the only thing is to go about doing is we want that middle term to be negative. You always want to have your biggest resultant, and what I mean by resultant is basically your bigger combination. So for instance, this 4 times a 2 would give me a 8y, right? Now 8y is bigger than the 3 times the y, the 3y. My 8y is bigger than my 3y. So that means I'm going to want my bigger resultant, the 4y times 2, to be the same sign as my middle term. And this just happens to be negative. It's a negative 11. So I want that combination to be a negative. The only way I could do that is right here if I make this a negative. Because that 4y times the negative 2 will give me a negative 8y. And then right here, I would have to have this one, so negative as well, so that way I could say negative 8y minus a 3y, which would give me a negative 11y. And also this would give me a negative 3 times a negative 2, which would give me a positive 6. So let me go ahead and show you, and this is how you check it. And let me show you what I'm saying visually, so that way you can kind of see it. 4y times y, we're basically foiling now. We're going first to, first. 4y times y will give you a 4y squared. And if we factored right, we should get back to where we started with. 4y times negative 2 will give us a minus 8y. Now, so we did that one. So it's first, then outside, and then inner, right? So negative 3 times y minus 3y. And then negative 3 times negative 2 will give me a positive 6. So now the only thing to do is combine like terms. So I don't have any y squareds to combine, so I could bring that down. And then negative 8y minus a 3y, that'll give me a negative 11y. And then there's no other just constants or numbers, so I just rewrite that as plus 6. And let's check if it's the same thing. 4y squared negative 11y plus 6. So it is the same. So what does that mean? That means we factored correctly, and we can't factor this anymore. So this is what it would be factoring. This is our answer. This was just basically our check work. Here on down, this was our check. Okay, that was our check. All this. This is our answer. So this is just a way to check if you're factoring right. And basically if you were to have it on a test or something, or you're a little hesitant if you factored right, just FOIL it out or distribute it out, and yeah, you'll know if you got it right. Alright, thanks.